Hey guys, welcome. Josh Whitfield, Content Marketing Media. So today we're going to talk through just, what we think is, our continued evolution using model context protocol, which we're obviously pretty bullish on, and building on the powers of Claude and Anthropic to take that a step further and really help with lead gen. There's all kinds of ways to pull data and leads through Clay, through other big databases, right? But we're trying to do things differently here because we want that competitive advantage for our clients to be able to go out and do deep research with the tools that are available through Anthropic and Claude and their research integration, and then kind of pull that into our practical tools, right? So I'm going to walk you through that today. First and foremost, what you see on the screen is a request to pull me 25 companies, just like Clay. I use Clay as just a good example. They're obviously very far along in their journey, and I just wanted to see, because I know these companies, you know, what kind of data I got back. So this is just purely native Anthropic. And then it asked me a few questions, right? And so I said, yeah, I just want SaaS. I want anybody who's received funding or PE and US only. And what is, I think the first thing I want to point out is what's phenomenal here is that, natively, right? Anthropic goes out and pulls 1,400 sources. So this is using their research capabilities down here. If you did not know this, you can now build in integrations like Google and other things into, very specifically your integrations, and even think extended thinking, which I didn't use, but it gave me 1,409 sources. So let me just show you here. This is good data. I mean, at the end of the day, you can tell it went through Crunchbase, Clay, PitchBook. If you know anything about lead gen, you know that this is good data, right? Like, it's calling the right websites. It's getting data from the right websites. It's doing web searches, right? It's pulling in and reading information from a whole bunch of some of these tools, which, I use on a regular basis. So that's the powerful, thing that just on its own, we see, Claude doing. And then from there, it's giving me a report, a very, very detailed report that just tells me, like, hey, here are the data kings, the 25 US SaaS innovators reshaping intelligence. And like, this report in and of itself is worth its weight in gold, right? It just goes into all of these different companies, what their valuations are, the funding they've got, what they're doing, you know, um, all kinds of data, their business models, their landscape, and a conclusion. So with that, I said, okay, now I want to take this data that I gave you here and I want to take that a little bit further, right? So here we imported that data. Let me get to the top here. So I just exported that Claude artifact there, which was this. And just in case you didn't know how to do that, you can do export. And then I downloaded it as a markdown. You can obviously do PDF as well. And I wanted to start fresh and say, okay, give me a list of those 25 domains, right? So the first thing I said is, here's the artifact. I just uploaded it as a file. Give me those 25 domains, right? So here's the Clay is obviously what I told to research, and then here's all the other domains. And I said, cool. Now can you enrich these with Octave, right? So, if you've seen my post the last couple of days or some of the videos we're creating, right, we're talking about the power of Octave. And so this is actually not a new Octave enrichment. This is the Enrich company, which has been around for a while. It's built into Clay. But we wanted to use that just to get more information about these companies. And so it went in there and it did that for us. And I'll take you into kind of a more deeper dive here. And so it started off with a few, and it says, look, I'm going to give you that information. And then it took it a little bit further and it said, okay, now I'm going to go in and get detailed information for you. So these are the API calls. The reason we can call APIs from MCP is we've connected an Apify actor, and this is the name of that actor. There probably are better ways to do that, right? But step by step is what we're doing here. So we connected an Apify actor, and that actor is going out and getting data, right? So it's getting data on that, and then it came back and it's like, hey, here's your first batch of companies, right? So just to kind of give you a quick glance into that, you can see it scrolling through and calling the Octave API to get that data. So pretty amazing stuff. And it gave us, batches of data that we asked it for. And so I want to go back and show you kind of some of the analysis that it did. Pretty detailed analysis. And, look, I didn't ask it to do this, which really impressed me, but it decided on its own, hey, like, let me give you an enrichment dashboard. So if you click there, you can see it gave us an enrichment dashboard, and this is React, and then it gave us a market analysis, right? So like all of this is, think about where we started, where we got the 1400 plus searches. And then from there, we went and enriched these individual companies, and it's giving, just an analysis from that data of how these companies are similar, how they're different, where they're located. All of that it kind of did on its own, which I thought was awesome. And so getting back into, and here you can obviously see the code of it making those API calls. So getting back into specifically on the left side here, what you're seeing, and let me move this kind of out of the way for you. And I'll switch it back to just the dashboard so you can kind of see that too. But it went really in depth, like, hey, here's the company size comparison, geography, market presence, all the stuff that you saw. And then this is where we, as I mentioned before, we went and just went deeper. We said, give us this information for all of the companies. And so we ended up with all. And then, of course, I'm like, hey, can we send this to Clay? Well, I kind of knew we could because we built an integration to do that. And really, it's just simply what we've done is connected through research to Zapier. And with Zapier, we can now post to a webhook. We can also do it through the API actor as well. And so we just took Clay's native webhook function and we grabbed that webhook URL and we were able to put that information. You can do it through Zap. You can also do it through Appify, but we were able to push that data directly into Clay, right? So that's where you see that there. And then I'm going to, for a second, just share the Clay table here so you can see that. So let me pull that up and get that for you. And so, and now we go back and here is the Clay table, right? So haven't done a lot of work here, but just want to show you what the capability is. So here is the data and you're seeing right here a complete company list with all of that data, right? So at the end of the day, we now have all of that data. And so as you can see, Clay is the first one on the list because they're the ones that we were doing a reference for. And on, we're getting all of that information for that company, those companies, right? And so I'm going to do this kind of live just so you can see the power of this here. But let me get rid of these columns. I was playing around a little bit earlier and just get rid of these real quick. But I'm going to just show you real quick how we can turn this into purely an actual functional table. So I'm doing this and we're going to say, hey, we are going to come here and we are going to, we can do a couple things here. We can ask questions about items with AI. We can also just start adding, columns. We can push this to another table as well, right? And that would be actually a pretty cool function. So let's take that approach and say send data to a table. And then we're going to select the destination. Probably what we'll do is just add a new workbook here. And then we're going to send a row for each item in the list. And then let's get the list here. And let's just take all 26 items and we're going to save that. And then I don't want to run all the rows. Let's just run this last row right here. So I'm going to send this data to a table real quick. And you're going to see here that I now have a table with all of this data, right? So here's those 26 rows. And then we're going to start we're adding information. So we've got the domain. Let's see, we got the company, we got the location, company name, founded year if we have one, employee count. There you go, right? So just really quickly, we've started pulling in that data and it looks like, it's not 100% clean, which is fine, pretty normal. But you can see right here, look, live doing this right in front of you that we're getting that data and that data is originating very specifically and it's coming from MCP and from Claude. So even with this, right, maybe I don't want to look at these rows where I didn't get all the data here, so I can get rid of them if I wanted to. But I could do any enrichment, right? I could find lookalikes. I could add anything I wanted to from here. So this is really the power of look, I got a highly detailed research list. I pushed it from MCP into some Octave agents and then got it into Clay. I tell you, lead gen is changing, and it's not a little bit messy sometimes, but it's going to be amazing.